the DORK podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK podcast with Davey. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag it's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rick Rude Von Dick Dude. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
Had a nice little Sunday. Nice little Sunday today.
Yeah, good.
Little family photo day for the
Ooh.
Davey family. So we were like not taking family photos, not being in family photos.
You were in them.
No, I was not. I was taking them.
Oh, you were taking snaps. So you were
Yes.
meeting some families, taking some pics. And
Absolutely.
Good.
Yep. So it went well. I think it went well today.
Nice fall day for it.
Absolutely. Perfect day for it. A little overcast, not too harsh a lighting.
Beauty.
That's what you need.
The Patriots aren't a great club. Not to spend a lot of time on that here. I have plenty of time this week on the old Rich Keefe show, WEEI, to do that. But good Lord, are they bad?
And I tell you what, there's one football team in existence worse than your New England Patriots. You know who that is? My fantasy football team, who is currently losing poorly to yours 0-5 fantasy football team.
My team sucks.
I cannot make heads or tails of this NFL season. I have no idea who's going to be good.
Well, you know what it is?
Week.
Last year, we were too braggadocious, I think, on the podcast. We were both undefeated until we met each other around this time last year. And then the other thing was we played in the championship game. And so we were like often like hey, the fucking dork boys are fantasy experts. Yeah. And this year, can't get out of our own goddamn way. The team blows.
And remember how that season ended? We had to put it to a vote.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, Damar Hamlin ruined our fantasy season. Son of a bitch. I could say that now because he's healthy as well. He's playing.
He's healthy as an
flying around out there.
Say whatever the hell you want about him.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we have a lot to get to here today on the program. I'm excited about this Dorktober topic du jour. But before we do that,
This week in DORK.
Ryan, did you see this? You hear about this? Best Buy no longer in the DVD game. They're not going to be selling digital video discs. So you could go there on a random Tuesday and ask them, be like, hey, where's your $5 bin for the digital video disc? Like, we don't do that anymore.
We don't do that anymore. It's amazing to me that they held on for this long.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Best Buy is going to become, you heard what Bed Bath & Beyond did?
They're just beyond?
No, so kind of. So there's no, you know how they kind of went out of business? So the name still exists. They got bought out by Overstock. And now they're they only exist online. But Bed Bath & Beyond isn't dead. So I wonder if Best Buy is going to do the same thing.
You know what was also a weird one was when Borders went under.
Mm-hmm.
And then at least in a couple of places, BAM opened up. BAM with an exclamation point. It was Books and More. BAM.
Mm-hmm.
Same goddamn story. Walked in there, it was practically the same layout and the same stuff.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Am I right or am I right?
Yeah. Borders?
Yeah, couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
I know. Yeah, that's prep school life. Davey and I went to school with a kid who was legit last name was Borders.
His last name was Borders. And that was him.
From the goddamn company.
Yep.
Oh. Anyway, but the DVD thing, and we've talked about this several times in the podcast. This is probably what led us to even have this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Is there was a time, not just Best Buy, but it was the used ones at Blockbuster or whatever. There was nothing better than adding to the DVD collection. It was amazing. I had a whole remember we in high school we initially had them in our drawer, our desk drawer, because you only had 20. And then as you get older, you're I need a whole goddamn shelf. And then it was just and you could either I did mine by genre. I feel did you do yours alphabetical?
Alphabetical.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But it was and you just keep growing it, get the new releases, get good deals on it. It was for 10 years. It was a legit big part of my life. And I haven't bought in a physical form. I stream everything. I got somebody asking me the other day if I do 4K or Blu-ray. I'm right now I'm just streaming. I don't have enough room in the house to have a 200, 300, 500 Blu-rays lying around.
No, and I remember having to, when I moved in with my wife, I remember having to buy a bookshelf just for my DVDs. I didn't have anywhere
100%.
to put them. And I think we both, between the two of us, had 400 or 500 each.
Yeah.
I needed an entire actual goddamn bookshelf for all of them. And I guess I sold them to a pawn shop, all 500 of them, for $175.
Man, honestly, I don't know if that's the saddest thing I've ever heard or great, great return on your buck because I don't think you're
We
getting
were
much more than
so
that.
poor,
Yeah,
so poor when we
you just
first
yeah.
that I just needed rent money, so I sold all my
I
DVDs.
I haven't sold any of them. I have them in a box somewhere. I'd be better off with $175 to be honest. Like I don't know, they're not even like on display. I have like I think I might have like the Star Wars ones lying around. Everything else is gone in a box. I really actually this is the time of year that I get a little nostalgic about it because my horror movie collection, as you can
Yes,
imagine, was probably the biggest. And so this was the month that I'd always just like you'd sit there and for 10 minutes, rather than like scrolling through Netflix, you would just stare at the DVDs that you owned, and you're like, what's it gonna
and it
be
would be
tonight?
like a to me, it was like picking out a bottle of wine. Like, what was I in the mood for that
Yeah.
night? I still have, I think, like 12. One of them is one of the movies we're gonna talk about tonight because I was never sure. They were kind of more rare,
Huh?
and I wasn't sure if I was ever gonna be able to buy them again.
Can you
This
imagine?
Yeah.
Christopher in the chat goes, whoever you sold your 500 DVDs to, what if he sent it a should I have bought this for a
Which
175? That'd be
it was
amazing. You
funny
go through
because
each one of them.
yeah, it was a pawn shop in Boston, and the guy was like, I was like, dude, come on, you got to do better than like,
Yeah.
you got to do better than that. Like, I wanted like $400. I just like $1 a DVD. Like, come on, man. And he's like,
Yeah.
it's gonna take me years to sell these,
Yeah, touche.
like years. I was like, all right,
Dude, you know what I saw? There's a used bookstore not too far from me, and they also have like movies and games and stuff. It's like in the back, 'cause it's mostly all books. And it was funny. It was like while I was binge watching Lost,
yeah,
they had season 1 of Lost for like $2. So the whole season on DVD, and I was like, I don't even know if I
gotta
could
do it.
play that, but I'm like, should I buy that just for that's a good deal.
I mean, it's a good deal.
$2 for Lost? That's a good
Yeah.
show. But yeah, fucking Best Buy. I'd love going to Best Buy. I dragged so many ex-girlfriends to Best Buy just to
Oh, me too.
be like,
That was the best because it was it 3 for $20?
yeah, I think so. Well, no,
Yeah.
that was also Blockbuster. Blockbuster had the
That's when
used ones.
Blockbuster was 3 for
Yeah,
$20 for used DVDs, and they would buy like 50 Titanics, and all the extra ones you would just be like, all right, here's for
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
that
it's
was a great
great.
deal.
Ah, it's fuck. I miss it. I miss it. Anyway, oh, so did you hear about this? So this somebody tweeted us this and asked the question as well. And that we should mix in more of your dork questions, whether it be on Twitter or
Mhm.
Instagram at Dork Podcast, either way. And basically talking about the giant Disney Plus price increase.
Yeah.
And it was $80 for the year. Hold on, where's this gentleman here? JT. All right, it was JT. He says going from $79.99 a year to $139.99 for the year. That's quite a leap. He goes, I may have to let this one go after my yearly expires. What do you guys say? He tagged us and Mac and Goo in it. I'm gonna keep it. I know it's a massive jump. I'm also super cheap. Me and my wife were just sort of doing like we were actually just talking about this the other day. We were like going through some of the streaming services that we have, and we're like,
Mhm.
what are you watching this? Do you need it? Like, what are we doing? And you hit on this, I think last year when we were ranking streaming services, is now that Cece's 4 and like has specific shows that she likes and like asks for, and it's just so much easier to throw it on and like something that she wants. She watches a ton on Disney Plus. They have Bluey. They got the show Super Kitties, which she fucking loves. They
She's so
got
crazy for it.
she
She's fucking gaga for it.
she goes fucking ham for Super Kitties.
Yeah.
But then like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, like on down the line. Plus all the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff that I
Mhm.
like. Plus we just talked about our DVD collection. Like I don't have that anymore, but I can always pop those in if I want. So I know it's crazy to all of a sudden just like jack your price up by double it. I'm gonna keep Disney Plus. I assume you are too.
I'm gonna keep so Disney Plus and Netflix are ones that I think I'll just kind of, and I have like the Disney Plus Hulu bundle.
Okay, so you have all that.
Yeah, and so Showtime is now getting folded into like Paramount Plus.
Is
I
it
don't know if you knew
really?
that. Yeah. So the
Wait,
show
so
I
you
have
have
because I
Paramount
have the
Plus subscription?
Showtime app.
But do you need to subscribe to Showtime to be able to watch it on Paramount? Or once
No.
Oh,
So the Showtime thing's it's getting folded into so it's the Showtime app doesn't exist anymore. So
got
if you
it.
want to watch Yellow Jackets, now you need Paramount Plus.
You know what? Actually, oh, it's funny. Christopher in the chat too. Same thing. we were going through our thing, and despite the fact that they have like a ton of streaming movies right now
Mhm.
for horror movies, which are all great, but it's like as far as new stuff, HBO Max shockingly bad. There's not a
It's
lot of
pretty
stuff I
bad.
watch on that, and
And, you know
is the most expensive one that we were buying. We were so we actually recently canceled the HBO Max.
and what's crazy is, like, the shows you like on HBO, you have to wait years to watch them. So, like, House of the Dragon, I know it's coming back soon, but then, like, you're gonna have to wait 3 or
Oh,
4 years for that to come back.
yeah, and I can always pick it up then, you know,
Yeah.
and like in the meantime, because I think Katie was asking me, she's like, "All right, well, what are you watching on that right now?" And I'm like, because like just in the back of my head, I'm like, "Oh, I always go on there and like like scroll through," but I'm like, right now, I don't think I'm watching any of the shows. And like Barry's done,
Mhm.
Succession's done. I'm like, yeah, you know what?
There's
Fuck.
only so many times you can watch The Leftovers and The Wire Leftover in The Wire again.
Yeah, so that one's lower on the list. I would say Disney Plus might be the best. I think Netflix is definitely a quantity over quality, but it's just so much shit. And you're gonna find something that you're gonna
You'll find
watch.
something.
Yeah,
And isn't it crazy? Like 6, 7 years ago, like HBO was like
was the
so far ahead of everybody,
yeah.
and everyone's caught up.
Well, I think too when you knew you had a new Game of Thrones season like every year,
Right.
that was massive, and like that alone was worth it. Like what
Mhm.
they were putting into Thrones, you're like, I gotta watch this.
Right.
Um, well, speaking of which one? Netflix. The Fall of the House of Usher. Have you started this? Did you get into this at all?
So it's funny. So this is a bit of a spoiler, but you're gonna hear about the show later because my wife was like watching it as I was prepping for this, and she's like, "You guys gotta watch this."
I'm in. I'm already in.
Yeah.
I think this could be either next week or the week after, potentially our standalone.
How
So
many F's is it?
it's 8.
Okay, I can do it. Doable.
They're all like an hour though.
Yeah, it's doable.
I'm 4 or 5 in. And so The Fall of the House of Usher is a Edgar Allan Poe short story, but then all of the episodes are also like other like Edgar Allan Poe short stories or like
Yes.
inspired by. I really like Edgar Allan Poe. I find I'm certainly by no
Is
means
it
an expert,
macabre?
but very macabre.
So I thought, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not kidding. When someone told me about this show, I thought it was like a surviving R. Kelly thing.
I know you did.
Like, I thought it was like Usher, like the
Yeah.
singer Usher.
No, this
Not
is
not remembering that there was a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. So
yeah.
I'm in on it now. It's the guy who did Hill House and Midnight Mass, right?
Yep, and Bly
Yeah.
Manor. He did all those
My
ones.
Manor. That's the
He's
other one
also
I forgot.
directed a bunch of movies like the Doctor Sleep and a few other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I like. This one's pretty good. He got me real good with a jump scare because you know how he does jump scares.
Oh, there's always one good one every season.
Oh God, he's there's been a few. There's been a few so far, but no, I like it. And I was reading up on EAP or Edgar Allan
Mhm.
Poe, as you might call him. He died when he was 40.
Yes.
Young guy.
Young guy. Well, he
No,
didn't live long. He didn't live very
no.
long back then. He also went to West Point, which is weird. I actually, in 8th grade, I did a report on Edgar Allan Poe.
Did you?
I mean, it was kind of like, yeah.
Hmm.
And he when he was like in his 20s, or he was like in his late 20s, he married his 14-year-old cousin.
I don't like that. See,
That's not great.
I don't support everything that he does.
I don't support that. I never would, but it was different times back then.
Yeah, but not an old guy. He had so many more poems to write.
Mm.
It's sad. But he
I
also
believe he like graduated last in his class at West Point. Not a
yeah,
soldier.
I don't think he did well. Like, I don't think the short stories that he wrote like sold well. Like, he was not a
No.
wealthy man. He
No,
was,
he's not.
but he was born in Boston, and then he died in Baltimore, and that's why you have the Baltimore Ravens.
And I believe the Raven himself is named Edgar
I believe that might be right.
or Poe. I think it's Poe.
Oh, maybe it is Poe. Oh, you mean
Yeah.
like the actual mascot?
The actual mascot is
Oh,
Poe.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
I believe it's Poe. Yeah, but he has like a lot of good shit in there. And so this is cool. There's a lot of the same carryover actors and actresses from the other shows. Also, they introduced a couple of new ones. It's good. I wouldn't say it's as creepy or as like, oh, I got to talk about it as much as like Hill House was, but it's still pretty good. And I got like 3 or 4 more episodes to go, so it could be even better. Gen V, you caught up on Gen V?
Not.
Okay.
I'm not.
It's good. It's
But
very
I do like it. I do like it. It is
I like it a
it is
lot
something
too.
else.
I think this will be a standalone. This will end in a few weeks. So we'll do this in November. Speaking of November, November 3rd on Amazon Prime, another sneaky, pretty good streaming service, by the way.
Oh
They
yeah.
got some
I
good
mean, you
stuff.
keep that anyway, just for packages, but
Yeah. but like as far as the content, so Gen V is on that, like The Boys is, and Invincible, Robert Kirkman's show, Invincible season 2. It was a long break between season 1 and season 2. We did a standalone episode, I believe. You can check the archives for Invincible 1. Trailer came out, looks great, and November 3rd we'll get some episodes.
And this was one of those shows that had no business being as good as it was. Like you're just like, oh, it was going to be like The Boys, but like animated. But I think it's just as good.
Yeah, knock my socks off.
So good.
Yeah, it's cool. Loki, 2 episodes in on Loki. I've not even seen the second episode. Like that sort of tells you, like, I'm not all that jazzed up about Loki.
Yeah, and I haven't even seen the first because I think everyone's kind of talking me out of it at this point.
I want to watch it. It's only 6 episodes, so I'm definitely going to watch it. The first episode wasn't bad. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm watching a lot of horror movies. I'm watching Fall of the House of Usher. I'm watching Gen V. So, and it comes out the same day as Gen V, I think. And so
Yeah.
I'm watching that first every time over Loki. And then you have football all weekend. So I'm like, I haven't seen it.
And I think that like college football and pro football have been kind of like taking up my weekends, but I just feel like now they're going to use Secret War to reboot everything.
Maybe
they kind of have to, right? And I was reading some article about how they're ditching miniseries and they're going to focus more on like either full series or movies. Like they're going to stop with this like 6 episode like Secret Invasion, Loki, like all that, like all this stuff. I don't even know what they're doing with. We're getting to the next one, but I don't even know what they're doing with that fucking thing.
I know. Well, was it at New York Comic Con or was it just at some other panel thing where they were eventually it is going to get like a soft reboot, and I think you're going to lose a lot of people. Like it was an incredible run. It was as strong as you could possibly have. I think along the way for Marvel, there's still going to be some really good one-off stuff, but I don't think you're going to get that unbelievable shared universe anymore.
No, I think the best thing to do is scale it back.
Yeah.
You know, I think not everything has to connect. Not everything has to be on a piece of red string. You know, I think Tom Holland's got like 1 movie left in him. Everyone else is like, if I'm Scarlett Johansson, or she's kind of out of it now, but if I'm Chris Hemsworth, like, I'm just getting fucking old. Like, I don't want to get in shape to be Thor anymore. Even like Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's almost 60 years old.
Paul Rudd's old, dude. Well, I was like Batista. He was like, I'm done with Drax. Like, it was great, but I don't do that anymore. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Fine. So anyway, Daredevil. You mentioned Daredevil. So the big report this past week on Daredevil was it was awful. They were looking at it. They were like, this looks like shit. They were like, Matt Murdock doesn't even put on the suit until the 4th episode. So they were like, we need to change it. So they're basically like starting over. So this Daredevil Reborn will literally have a rebirth, and they're going to start from scratch. Hopefully they bring back all the Netflix people. I don't know what the deal is, but that show was so good. And we had our doubts about how it was going to translate over to Disney Plus. And like, I still have no idea how it's going to go.
I don't either. And I think Disney, this is the thing that fucking sucks about Disney, is that everything has to be like family oriented. Everything has to be clean and whatever. But like, I don't know. You know when I want to see Daredevil in the suit? The first fucking shot of the season needs to be him in a goddamn suit and not the yellow one.
I don't hate the yellow one.
I don't hate the yellow one either, but like it now has because of the She-Hulk thing, it has a bad taste in my mouth. Like I don't want to associate that with anything. Give me the fucking black suit. With the red eyes and the red D's. Red double D.
Red double D's.
Just give me that. Yeah. Right out of the chute. I want fucking hardcore Matt Murdock. I want him punching faces.
Blood. I want his blood, the other combatant's blood. That's what I want.
I want him all fucking bloodied and bashed.
Like to the point where you don't think he's gonna make it, and then he does make it.
But that was the best. I feel like that was one of like the low key, the best part of that show is how hurt he got all the time.
All the time. Mess. Oh, something I meant to mention about the House of Usher. You know who's in it? You know who's in that show?
Who's that? Matt
Saracen.
Come on.
Saracen's back. Well, Saracen was in Midnight Mass.
So yes, I knew that.
All back from that. But yeah, he's good. He's good in this.
Another person who's sneaky old, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's got to be older than us.
Yeah.
He looks young, but he's older than us. We're getting a new trilogy of The Strangers. So the Strangers movies, they're doing chapter 1 through 3. First one comes out next year. We tweeted out the trailer at Dork Podcast, and Cheryl from Riverdale, who's one of the best characters, one of the best actresses on Riverdale, is going to be the star of this upcoming Strangers trilogy.
I will take your word for all of that.
Yes. Ooh, good point by Garrett in the chat. Mark Hamill also in House of Usher. He's great, Davey.
Is he?
Yes, yeah,
He's got chops.
He does, and he's kind of doing like the Joker voice, but without the laughing, because he plays the House of Usher's like lawyer.
Oh,
so he's a guy that like gets things done, but he's got like the deep voice that he does.
Kind of goes like this under this voice.
yeah.
Sounds like that the whole time. And it's funny, like when I was literally the Leo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When he popped up on the screen, I was like, that's Mark Hamill. That's Mark Hamill. He's not doing a Star Wars. He's doing something else, and that's him.
You know what I always wish I could do? You know how in that meme he like snaps his fingers and he does like a whistle like I can't do it, but like I always wished I could do that.
I think my dad can do that whistle.
I can do it with my fingers. Like I can do the thing like really loud with my fingers, but I can't do like that without the. Yeah, I wish I could do that. Maybe someone will teach me.
I think it's a generational thing. I don't think people our age can do it.
I gotta figure it out. I gotta YouTube it.
Everybody older can do it. Yeah, maybe there's a YouTube on it. That's true.
Yeah.
Good news for Halloween fans, as the rights have been sold to Miramax, meaning there could be a series or multiple movies. As the report goes, there might be a new Halloween universe on the horizon.
Please don't.
As somebody who loves the first Halloween and loves even honestly Halloween 4, Halloween 2, H2O. I don't mind. I don't mind Zombies first one. I don't mind Danny McBride's first one. Like I'd celebrate most of the series. We don't need it. We don't need it, and we don't need it anytime soon.
No, and this is well-worn territory. Like we don't need this.
What are they gonna do with
it? And
this?
if someone's like, "Oh, it's gonna make money," it's not. It's not gonna make any money.
No, look at the
Halloween Kills got fucking smoked.
The Exorcist thing isn't gonna make money. They're gonna take an absolute bath on that.
No.
Do you know how much they spent to get The Exorcist to make a trilogy of movies? They spent $400 million.
No way they're gonna make that money back. No way.
Nope. No, they're not. Also, Rick and Morty season 7 starts tonight, so always a reminder, set the DVR. I think it's like 11 o'clock start, but based on we talked about the trailer last week, the voices don't sound that off to me. They sound pretty close.
No, I think it's going to take some getting used to. Mr. Poopy Butthole sounded a little off to me. There was like a little clip that they showed of him, like what he's been up to, and he's not doing well. Poor guy.
No, but Poopy Butthole's not. No.
But he didn't sound quite like it. The ooh-wees were a little off. But we'll see how this goes. I mean, hopefully the writing's there.
Mr. Poopy Butthole's got to be top 5 character on that show.
Because he's like just a nice person and everyone just can't get over the fact that he's nice.
I like him. I like Squanch. You guys Squanch over here?
What was the that was the other show. That was Solar Opposites. What was the Fuzz Bucket or whatever the hell? Like the All Ready for Bisque. That was Fuzz Bucket, right?
I think the catchphrases are great. So
Lips and Shits, I love.
I looked this up today because I was like, I think we did a Rick and Morty episode. And so I binged #Dork Rick and Morty. And we did. And it's funny. It was like episode 157, I think, which was leading up to season 4.
Wow.
That's how long ago it was. So basically it was like us just talking about the first 3 seasons. And the beginning of that episode, because I was like, I just clicked on it. It was us talking about when Gary Goldman became my enemy.
Oh, that was so long ago.
That's
what didn't he yell at you for doing? You didn't even do it. Like he yelled and then like doubled down and wouldn't apologize.
Yep. Yeah. Long story short, let's keep it really brief. You can go back and listen to the whole like rant on it or whatever. I did a whole rant on the radio about it, but basically Gary Goldman, the comedian, tweeted at me and was like, hey, if you're gonna like you just said my joke verbatim, and if you're gonna take my joke, at least give me credit. And he tweeted at me like right as I was getting on the air, And I was like,
yeah, it was you were getting on, and someone said it before you
on the show before. And I
Yeah,
was like, first of all, I'm like, I wasn't even on. I'm like, what was the joke and like this whole thing? And then he wrote back, he's like, oh, it was your producer. And I'm like, well, it wasn't my producer. And second of all, then why are you tweeting at me and blaming me? And then
Yeah.
all I wanted was like a my bad
or
or
just acknowledge that you're wrong.
he didn't. He
Yeah.
deleted the first tweet and then like just ignored me the rest of the day. And I was like, or call in, like I would have talked to him. It was so
Yeah.
bizarre because I actually like him, but it was like he was such a baby about it. He's like, "Oh, you stole my joke verbatim," and nobody laughed at the joke. It wasn't even like one of your good ones. Like nobody even enjoyed it.
Right. But the
Anyway.
other thing is like, one, first of all, thank you for listening. Two, like I like so when Dane Cook did his show on HBO with like him touring, like Gary Gulman was on that tour.
It's
right?
orgasm. Yeah.
And that's a tour. Well, like, so that's when I became familiar with him, and he was funny as shit. And like
I
he
said-
played football at BC. Like this is an unbelievable tie-in for your show. Like this would be like a perfect two people that call in and talk to me. We'll have a great time.
I saw Dane
You know?
Cook live twice, and both times I saw him live, Gary Goldman was like the only opener for him. So I saw Goldman like forever ago, and
Yeah.
always liked him, but whatever. It's just so bizarre. But yeah, now an enemy for life, sadly.
Fuck.
All right.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, sir. What do you have?
Well, I got something, Richard. It's Spider-Man week. Are you excited?
Oh, it's this week?
Spider-Man 2. It's this week, Friday.
Oh shit! I better start putting $1 a day aside quick.
Well, I was gonna say, have you pre-ordered this yet? So no, you have not.
I've
Right?
not
You don't want
pre-ordered the game.
suits?
No, I'll buy it, but like now, like, what's the point of pre-ordering just to get like extra suits?
Bonus content. Yeah.
Okay,
Which is
it's
which
like
is
fine, the
I
games will
want
be
the suits.
sold out. I can just buy it on.
Oh yeah. But like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fucking love the suits, man.
Well, that's a good point.
But it's a way for them to kind of like see, like kind of project like how sales are gonna go.
Okay.
Because this thing is through the fucking roof. I mean, this has got to be. I haven't even played a second of it. It's already gonna be a game of the year contender. Has to be, right?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. I told you I haven't played the PS5 like in a long time. At least like I logged in here and there and like would mess around, but like as far as like sitting down, like rather than watching a show for 2 hours, I'm gonna play a game for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in forever, so I'm definitely
mean,
upset with this.
I hope. I mean, what are your hopes and dreams? Tell me your hopes and dreams.
I'm glad you asked. I think the last Spider-Man game for the PS4 was unbelievably fun. I loved that game. That was one of the games I 100%ed, played the hell out of it, loved all the Easter eggs. So I'm hoping it's similar to that, a little bit less load time, the ability to switch back and forth, which I know that there is. So I can be, Miles and I can be Peter, just a little bit bigger than that. So basically, like when you played Arkham Asylum, and then you got Arkham City, and then you got Arkham
Night.
Yeah, our Origins was okay, but like, yeah, like as you sort of like progress and like they add things to the game, like yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
What if you could play as Venom?
I would enjoy playing as Venom.
I would just tear shit apart. I would just tear the city apart. There was a Spider-Man game where you could play as Venom, and it was more fun.
Mm.
I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man on like PlayStation 2 or 3 or something.
Ooh, there was a good Spider-Man for PS2, was
It
it?
was like Ultimate
Was a good one.
Spider-Man. You could play as
yeah.
Venom or Spider,
Yes.
and it was the most fun.
Okay.
Because like you could just jump so far with Venom, and it was just two completely different play styles. I mean, it was awesome. So hopefully Venom is at some point a playable character. Because
Yeah.
you get the black suit.
Yep.
We know it kind of is probably going to go to Harry Osborn to start.
Okay.
My guess is Eddie Brock is a character in the game.
Or
like
yes, 100%.
Has to be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the Craven stuff looks awesome. So it'll be fun to see, Peter almost trying to save villains from Craven.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be a good thing to do, I
Yeah.
think. And plus, like you said, being able to switch back and forth between Miles and Peter is going to be really cool too. But anyway, in Xbox news, so that's a PlayStation exclusive. So in Xbox news, Xbox finally closed their Activision, the buyer of Activision, which is $69 billion.
Nice.
Of buying Activision. Now, this was that thing that was like that whole antitrust thing.
Mhm.
So now Activision, which is also Blizzard, now is owned by Microsoft, which is going to have huge implications in the video game world. but none bigger, Richard. So they made this announcement today that this sale finally went through. Welcome them to the Xbox family and the Microsoft family. And then they teased out that Guitar Hero is coming back.
Will this not be on PlayStation?
It might be on PC. I don't know. But that's the thing. They're trying to work out these deals where like it's technically owned by Xbox, but like Sony would have to like pay. So this is where it's going to get messy.
Okay.
But my God, if a next gen console Guitar Hero comes out and it's just the guitar, there's no drums, no bass, no vocals. I just want the guitar. I am not kidding. You might not see me for 6 months. There might be like some like Howard Hughes situation.
Yeah.
Where there's just piss jugs like all over my office. Like
Gross.
I've spent hundreds of hours playing like Skyrim and Fallout and all these games. I don't think I logged as many hours that I did as playing Guitar Hero in like 05 to 08 era.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, hell yeah.
I had the Gibson Explorer guitar. Remember the one that was like the Explorer?
Yeah.
I remember. Do you see? I customized it. I like painted it. Oh, the thing was sick. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, Guitar Hero was awesome. I was in on Rock Band though. In fact, my wife, that was one of the games that we played together early on when we were dating, and I couldn't believe how much she liked it. It's like she was not like a huge video game person by any means. Yeah. But she was super into it. She liked that. She got good at the guitar. She's playing the drums. She's singing. She sings a whole lot better than I do. And it was you like all of a sudden you're like, what time is it? Like, we started playing at like noon. Wow, how is it 5 o'clock? Like it's one of those.
Oh shit! Yeah, and you're just like, nah, one more. I remember I lived with Fridge in Waltham, and he would be like, he lived on the 3rd floor of our house, and he would be like drumming in just basketball shorts, just flop sweat. Like, and he would just be like fucking just like headband on the headphone.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like Lars Ulrich, just like going all out. It was fucking awesome. Like I can't wait for that to come back. But I just do the guitar first. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that's something will be.
And do the thing where like it's you can buy content.
Yeah.
Like, I can buy the songs I want, like a la carte.
Yeah.
Not all like packages with like 2 or 3 shit songs. I just want to buy the songs I like.
No, that's
like
true.
99 cents a piece.
They had some good ones though, like along the way that you would get. We're playing like fucking
I remember.
Pigs.
Oh, but like before I forget, Slipknot.
Yes, I was gonna say they had a Slipknot song, didn't they? They did.
Before I forget,
that
fucking song was awesome.
That's an all-timer.
Thunder Horse by the Metalocalypse. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that one.
It was like Metalocalypse was a show on Adult Swim, and it was like a metal band, and they had a show called Thunder Horse. Oh, that song fucking rips. But yeah, and
all right, that's good.
Back to basics, and then speaking of Invincible, they had a trailer for Omega Man going to be in Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
Was it Omni-Man?
Omni-Man is going to be Invincible's dad.
Yeah, and the Ed Boon said like that's not actual gameplay. That's kind of like just scratching the surface of what he can do. But they had the one they showed. Remember, he was punching his son and it was just like blood on his fist. So they showed him doing that, like first person view.
Sick.
So it's going to be crazy. This is one of those. I don't really get excited for downloadable characters in fighting games, but this one looks pretty good.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat does it up right. I mean, you go back to like when they had like Jason Voorhees and stuff, and then all these characters too.
What if they added Chucky and he was like gone? He was like little. You'd be in on that.
The little guy.
It's like Odd Job. It's hard to hit him.
Yeah. Just pecking knees and shins.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, very good, Rye. Good stuff there. Yeah, I forgot about Spider-Man. So you know what? At some point, we should probably pencil that in for a standalone episode too. We don't do a lot of video game standalones, but we have.
No, and it might just be one like in progress because there's no way that we're gonna. I'm gonna slow burn that story.
Oh, I'm not saying anytime, like maybe like December or like later. Yeah, yeah. All right, very good. Rye,
y'all ready for biz?
Topic du jour. Well, I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day. And today it is the #DORK top 13 horror comedies. Why 13?
Why 13?
It's scary.
Because it's spooky.
It's really spooky. It's the spookiest number.
And we just had a Friday the 13th. So
we just had a Friday the 13th in October.
Sure did.
It was funny. I opened it up to I was all by myself on Friday on the Rich Keefe show. which you would think I would be. That's the name of the show. But anyway,
Right.
usually I have other people in. And so I'm like, you know, it's Friday the 13th, so feel free to like mix in like your horror movie recommendations as we like talk Patriots. We got a fuck ton of calls on horror movies.
Did you really?
So that was good. Yeah. We got
All
a
right,
lot of
no one wants to talk about Patriots. How about the
Uh,
Bruins being 2-0?
No, we talked about them. We mixed them in a little bit.
Okay.
Well, they were 1-0 at the time, but yeah, we talked about them. All right, so here's the first thing, Ryan. This is actually a genre or subgenre I have kind of a difficult time pegging, for lack of a better word.
Mhm.
The horror comedy, because like when we came up with like our top 50 horror movies before, you know, some of these were included, some of them weren't, or whatever else. And I just think a lot of horror movies have comedy in them, but like what makes it a horror comedy? I'm a big proponent of movies can have multiple genres. Like I hate when people are like, "No, that movie's a thriller." I'm like, "Well, it's a horror movie." Like it's a thriller. Like it can be both. It's allowed to be both. But horror comedy is interesting because let me just start by saying this. One of my favorite horror movies of all time, or maybe my actual favorite horror movie of all time, is Scream. Some people would consider that a horror comedy. I do not. I didn't put it on my list. I think it's more horror, even though there are laughs and it is obviously a movie that is like knows what it's doing and like knows like it's in this world and everything else. I don't consider it a horror comedy. Others would. So how would you define the horror comedy?
I would define it, and I had to look it up.
Webster's
Supreme
Dictionary.
Court Justice, no, was I believe his name is Potter Stewart,
Okay.
who said when talking about pornography, he said, "I can't really define it, but I know it when I see it."
Yeah.
And so for me, like a horror comedy, it has to feel like it has to kind of be kind of self-aware and kind of poke fun at the genre at times, but also be like kind of gory enough. Like I think of you to your point, like people talk about. I know the movie you're talking about, like Seven, as like a horror movie. Like people don't necessarily. There are horror elements.
I think
of
it's a
that.
horror movie. Yeah.
I think again. I don't. I think it's a more of like a suspense, like a cop movie that
Yeah.
has horror elements in it. But like, there's movies that are on the cusp of this, and they're that they have different. I don't know. And like, it's so hard
I think
to
it's tough.
figure out.
'Cause, like, if you
One of
look
my
at
honorable
the
mentions,
list-
I'll just say right now, like the movie The Burbs
Mm.
has horror elements in it, but it's almost like too funny to be horror.
Okay.
And you could also be too horror to be funny. It has to land in like a very gray area for me.
Yeah, because I also don't know, like looking at our list, how many of them are scary? Like I think only a
Really none.
couple. Yeah, maybe none. One you could make an argument for because it's an older movie, so I'm sure when it first came out, it might have been kind of scary. But
Yeah.
like for the most part, like I don't think any of them are scary. Where I think Scream now, it's hard to remember what it was like the first time you watched Scream, but like the first time I watched Scream, like I thought there were some legit scares. Like the whole opening is scary. The scene where she thinks she sees her mom, like that's fucking scary. The ending's pretty scary. So even though they're very self-aware and they're kind of also like making fun of the genre, like I don't consider it a comedy. I did like a quick like Bing to see what other people had for like top
Mhm.
horror comedies. It's all over the place. Like it is all over the place. Like Scream's
Well,
on some people's lists, and like some of
yeah,
ours are, some of them
but there are
aren't.
some that are like on the list that shouldn't be.
That's what I think. It's
Yeah.
it's a weird thing to um kind of categorize the
But
horror.
Chris asked in the chat, he said, are your 13 what you think are the only 13? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There are more. These are just my favorites. And again, your definition of this, like people are going to say, like, what about this? And I'm like, I didn't really think that was that funny, or I didn't think that was scary enough.
Even a horror movie. Yeah. So like Davey and I both did a list of 13, and then I just added them up together. Like the number one got 13 points all the way down to 1. And we probably had half our list was pretty similar, like overlapped. But yeah, it's a weird one. So like it's an interesting one anyway. So let us know at Dork Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Any that we may miss on this list, or ones that you don't think belong or do. So you want to kick it off with number 13?
Yeah, let's do number 13. So now coming in unlucky number 13, a movie we talked about just last week is Broken Lizard's Club Dread.
I love this movie.
Which is a slasher movie set in a club med, like an all-inclusive resort type thing.
Yep.
So it has that slasher element to it. It is pretty funny at times.
Yeah.
Some great lines. And one of the great Bill Pullman characters, Bill Paxton, and he played
Coconut Pete,
Pina Colada Berg.
Pina Colada Berg, which he wrote before Margaritaville, but Jimmy Buffett put it out there before him. And, But he is still on the island, and he does his thing. And then you had like fresh off of like maybe a couple of years, I should say, off of Super Troopers. You had Farva's character as Lars, and he was the masseuse. Remember? And he certain things you like immediately like cum your pants.
And friend of the podcast, Brittany Daniel.
Brittany Daniel's great. Yeah, Brittany Daniel's really good in this.
Mm-hmm.
But
we talked to her about this movie.
No, we didn't talk to Brittany Daniel. We talked to
Joey Lauren Adams.
Joey Lauren, yeah.
I really wanted to talk to Brittany Daniel, but I got scared and walked away.
She would have liked if you brought up Club Dread. I think she would have probably enjoyed that. Yeah, she was great. Obviously, all the Broken Lizard guys are really good. I like that this movie like sank like a stone at the box office. It's kind of I would say it's a cult classic though. Like I think enough people like it now. But there's also the Pac-Man scene. I fucking laughed my
Human
ass
Pac-Man
off. Human Pac-Man was so fucking funny.
How badly did you want to go to a place where they actually let you do Human Pac-Man?
Incredible. You just run around and then you get like a drink and then you're the thing and then you come flying around.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was good. But yeah, it was funny. Like I like the Broken Lizard guys a lot. Like I even their bad movies I enjoy just because I like that group so much. But Club Dread this might be their second best movie.
That's what someone said. I think it's better than Beer Fest.
I think it's better than Beer Fest. Although I like Puddle Cruiser a lot. That was the first movie they made before Super Troopers. Yeah,
for me, like I just lost my train of thought. I was looking at pictures of Brittany Daniel and I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, but I like this one. And then like just when you think it's like only a comedy, they like mix in like some just slashers and it's a whodunit. Who doesn't like a whodunit?
Right.
You got people cutting people up, and it's a slasher comedy. So Club Dread was on both of our lists on the lower end, but made both of our lists and comes in at number 13. Number 12. Yeah. Number 12. Why don't you take this one? This wasn't on my list because I wasn't even sure what genre this was.
So this falls into the macabre, but it has the undead, it has possessions, it has death. It has cutthroats. I'm talking about, you might not know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the movie Beetlejuice.
Yes, you are.
This wasn't on your list, huh?
It wasn't on my list, and I guess I had never considered it horror, but I think you make a pretty good point. Like when you go back and watch it, it's definitely the macabre. That Winona Ryder character is a little goth kind of, character going on. There's like Beetlejuice himself, I guess, is kind of a horror character.
Yeah, he's a demon, right?
Yeah.
He's like, so like there's that. And then like again, like it has enough horror elements in it where you have like, when the Bateses like screw up their faces.
Yeah.
It has that like kind of scary stuff. The sandworms, like there's scary shit in there.
I was scared of, like I talked last week about all the movies I was scared of as a kid. This was one of them. I remember like watching this the first 5 minutes of it as a kid. I'm like, I'm out.
And when Beetlejuice like turns into the snake, like that's pretty fucking scary.
Yeah, no, this deserves to be on there. I just when I was making my list, I was like, I don't even know. But yeah, because like what actually, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do right now. What genre does like Wikipedia even say it is?
It's
so Beetlejuice. It says it's a fantasy comedy.
Okay.
Horror. No, I'm with you though. Horror. It could definitely be horror. I had no problem with that.
Death and the undead and zombies and dying and
the character Beetlejuice himself. Pretty horrifying. Like that. Like just looking at him.
Pretty scary.
It's on a tour
and the whole
like his face and his hair and his like he's a horror character.
And it has like the whole point of them hiring him is so he could scare people and get them out of their house. Like it's a hunting thing. That's horror.
Good point. What a cast. Holy smokes.
Great cast.
What What a
Great
ridiculous
cast.
movie.
Except for
Beetlejuice-
Jeffrey, what's his name? The
Jeffrey Jones turns out terrible guy.
real bad guy. He's a bad guy.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
Charles Dietz, real piece of shit guy. But Beetlejuice 2 comes out next year. I don't know if they're going to address Jeffrey Jones.
He's probably dead. Which
Probably dead.
in this movie makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
All right. Coming in at number 11 on our top 13 horror comedies, Happy Death Day. This came out in 2017, and it's a time loop movie or a Groundhog Day movie, if you will. So basically the character, it's set on a college campus, and the girl, every time she dies, she gets killed by this like guy with a crazy, like big, like kid, almost like fat face mask. Kills her. She wakes up same day, and then she's got to like figure out who's killing her. I love this first one. The second one was pretty bad, so you could skip that. Just this one though, it's a perfect mix of horror and comedy, little mystery, right? Because again, like a lot of these kind of like, well, a lot of slashers have a little bit of like a whodunit theme to them, at least at some point. And so, yeah, Happy Death Day. Don't sleep on Happy Death Day. Real good stuff.
I love the kind of the choose your own adventure aspect of this too. Like every time she wakes up, she remembers what happens. Like, all right, now I have to do things differently.
Yes.
So it's like the whole choose your own adventure, Groundhog Day, like you said, kind of thing. I think that's really cool for a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then again, what I love about this movie, it never took it too seriously.
No, it didn't. And I also think the actress who's not in a ton of things, her name is Jessica Roth, is very charismatic and is a great lead. Like she's not I'm not gonna say anything else, but like she's really, really good at like carrying the movie and then having all this other stuff. Like she's good at the comedy aspect of it, bouncing off the other characters, and because like you're going through it with her, right? Like you're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like she's confused, you're confused, and the whole thing. Oh, was this written by? Hold on a second, that can't be right. Yeah, how about this? The writer on Happy Death Day also wrote Red Hood and the Outlaws in the New 52. Scott Lobdell.
Come on.
No wonder I like this goddamn thing. Or Lobdell, excuse me. Scott Lobdell. He wrote this. He's written some other X-Men. He's written Teen Titans. He's written fucking Alpha Flight. Holy smokes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I know what he's doing. So number 2, where are we on? We're number
take number 10.
Number 10 is 2000 and was it 2017? 2017? No,
19.
2019. Wow.
19, yeah.
Ready or Not.
Really good too.
Speaking of like amazing casts,
yeah.
Samara Weaving, who I have never seen in the same room as Margot Robbie.
Yeah, like close, like real close.
And if you look at the movie poster, it looks she looks just like Margot Robbie, which is weird to me. So this movie, it takes place, this family, and they go to their estate, and they bring this girl in. They're going to get married. She's going to marry one of the sons. Yada yada yada. Some things happen, and the family starts hunting her around the house. There's a huge game of hide and seek.
Yeah, so
they're actually trying to kill her.
Yeah, like if you marry into the family, you have to like survive the night, and they're after you to kill you.
Yep. And I won't tell you, if you haven't seen this movie, I won't tell you what happens, but this movie fucking rules.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
She's also a tremendous lead. And so the guys it was a team that directed this. It was 2 dudes that directed this. They also directed Scream 5 and Scream 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Samara Weaving, you see her in the opening of Scream 6. So she comes back for that. But yeah, Adam Brody is also in this one. And this is definitely like the comedy horror or black comedy horror, whatever you want to call it. This one's like would fall into this category one for me. Coming in at number 9 is a movie.
Hold on, time out. Did you know? I was just looking at her. Samara Weaving and Margot Robbie are in the same movie together. 2022's Babylon with Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and Tobey Maguire.
That's gonna be. Are they sisters in the movie?
I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you that, but they're in the movie together.
If they're not sisters, then I don't know what to tell you. That's like oh man, who is it?
Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman. Was the
Bill
Saturday
Paxton,
Night
Bill
Live?
Pullman. No, but in
Dermot
Jurassic World,
Mulroney and
no,
sorry.
Judy Greer and Bryce Dallas Howard look a lot alike, and then in Jurassic World, they're like sisters, and you're like, oh shit.
There's no was it Dermot Mulroney
Oh, and
and Dylan McDermott?
McDermott. Well, they're just fucking names are the same.
Yeah.
All right, number 9 on our list of top 13 horror comedies is the recently released Totally Killer from Prime. I had this really high on my list. I love this movie, dude.
And it's a movie I have to see. I still haven't seen it yet.
Get in there. Has your wife watched it yet?
No, but I feel like she
would,
would, and that's why I think she would love it.
She would love it, dude. This movie's great. So I won't say too much about it, but you got the girl from Sabrina and from Mad Men. You got Julie Bowen in it. It's time travel. It's a whodunit. It's a slasher. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of good jokes. They're not all amazing, but there are some good jokes of what it would be like if you took a teenager from today and put them in the 80s and just some of their interactions with people from the 80s, like stuff you could say and do in the 80s that you can't really do now. Like,
I can't even imagine like the thing that you say. Yeah, I did that you would
there's
say
a few
at
of
the time,
those.
like,
Yeah. Well, there's one. This is a very, very minor spoiler, and it'll still do it justice. But basically, long and the short of it is, she's trying to like investigate something in the 80s, and she like goes to the school, and she's like getting ready to like talk to the person at the front desk to like lie her way into like going there. And like the lady like couldn't have been less interested. And the girl's like, well, don't you need like my like whatever? And the lady's like, what is this, Fort Knox? Like, here's your schedule. Like, just go. Like, I don't
shit.
Like, there's no security. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
We don't care. All right. What do we got?
So number 8 is 2009's Zombieland.
Yes.
Which to me, the opening sequence of Zombieland might be one of the best opening credit scenes next to Watchmen I think I've seen.
It's good.
It's really good. For Whom the Bell Tolls, Metallica, slow motion killings.
Good
I love
kills.
this, like, really, like, what I think, were there a zombie outbreak, I really think that some people would do very well.
Yes.
In the word, I don't know if I'm one of them. I like to think I am. I'm probably not.
I don't think I am. I think despite me having a sword, I think at this point I'm too out of shape. I'm too old, and all it takes is one little bite. And I suck at paintball, for example. So like, I don't know. I feel like I would be in the thick of it, and then I'd be gone. I'd be done.
Yeah, and it's the rule number 1 is cardio, and rule number 2 is wear a seatbelt. So like I love that. It was so clever and so funny, and it was written by the guys who wrote the original Deadpool. So obviously it's a zombie movie, but it's is it funny. And Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin are so good in this movie.
And like, zombie movies just allow you to have the coolest kills than any other movie, right? Like they give you, and whether it's a chainsaw or the shotgun or smashing their heads or whatever, like you can do whatever you want. And then great all-time cameo in this too.
Yes.
Can
we say it?
Yeah, we can say it. This movie's been out for a long time.
Bill Murray in this movie absolutely steals the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely steals the show.
It's amazing. So yeah, Zombieland's on there. All right, coming in at number 7, Gremlins.
So here's what the movie I was kind of alluding to, that like, and I said The Burbs, but what I'm really talking about is Gremlins, because it was pitched as a family movie and a Christmas movie.
Yep, I think it's
also a horror movie.
I think it's all of it. I think it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's one of my favorite horror comedies, and yet at the same time, when it came down to just like straight horror, I don't know if I even put it in my top 50, because like I put it like just to the side of like straight horror. But I guess you got to go back to like watching it as a little kid. Like there's some fucked up parts of it, like especially like the parts at the end and like in the store and everything. Like it's
when they get in the pool at the YMCA and all the shit starts going crazy. Yeah, they start like the gremlins are getting lit on fire. Like that shit's kind of scary.
It kind of is. Yeah, I'll give you that. I like
Gremlins 2, not scary. That's more of a spoof of Gremlins.
Yeah, Gremlins 2 is just like so over the top. There's that great Key and Peele sketch where they literally just are sitting around the pitch meeting and they're throwing out different stuff. and it's all outrageous. And then at the end of the sketch, it's like, yeah, these are all in Gremlins 2. Like this is just
Like,
legit
they're real.
what happened in Gremlins
One's a
2.
spider, one's a girl, one's a flasher. Like this shit's crazy. But that's an interesting case study in this because Gremlins to both of us clearly is a horror movie.
Yeah.
And here we are both saying Gremlins 2 isn't.
Right. It's just like a whack fest. I don't even know what you would call Gremlins 2.
And that's why like the Wayans brothers scary movies aren't in here either, because those are clearly spoofs. There's nothing scary about that.
No. They're just straight up spoofs. They're very good. 1 and 2 are great, but they're just spoofs. Although, because we have a couple others that might be kind of spoofish, but like they kind of at least have more. All right. So anyway, number 7 is Gremlins, and
so
you got next.
Yeah, I got next. So number 6 is What We Do in the Shadows, the movie, the 2014 movie, which then spawned an incredible show. What's crazy is when this movie comes out, when you think about it, like Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi are both in it, and Jermaine Clement was like the bigger star.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah,
like he was the draw, and so, but it's tight. And it's basically a mockumentary. These 5 vampires that live in a house together. Wait, yeah, 4 or 5 vampires that live in a house together, depending on how you watch the movie. But and it's
so good.
They're just so. I loved it because they're all the different types of vampires.
Right.
And so you have like the one, like the Nosferatu vampire, and then you have like the dandy vampire, then the Victorian vampire. So they're all like different, the Eastern European vampire.
So good.
You know, so it's like it was all like they're kind of spoofing stuff like that. And there was supposed to be a sequel to this starring Rhys Darby, because they run into like a pack of werewolves. And apparently there's like a gang war there in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the name the name of the movie is going to be Werewolves, like We Are Wolves. Werewolves.
Already good.
But which would be great. But I mean, this movie again, there's enough. It's just so fucking good. It's funny, and there are some like gruesome things in here.
I mean,
but the show itself is
like, right away you're gonna go horror. Like it's got to be
it's
horror.
vampires. Vampires are automatically horror.
But yeah, the mockumentary thing is obviously, when it's done well, is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, coming in at number 5, and this is one where it kind of is very much like a spoof, but I think there's enough horror stuff. So number 5, 2010's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah,
I remember seeing this however many years ago. I didn't see it right away. And I remember it was hyped up, and I'm like, there's no way this movie's good. Like seeing the poster, seeing the trailer, you're like, this movie's as good as everybody says it is. And it is. Like it's an absolute blast. And just like all the stuff going around the two characters. So it's Alan Tudyk plays Tucker, and I forget the guy who plays Dale.
Tyler Labine.
Yeah, so you've seen him in
a bunch of shit.
He's been in a bunch of stuff, right? But like it's just like all this stuff. There's like a couple of like, hicks, and then it's like all the stuff happening around them, and it's just it's gory, obviously, but it's really funny. But don't you think there's like enough horror elements in this to put it in the horror list?
Yes, because it's kind of like it's got the Hills Have Eyes, Wrong Turn kind of vibe to it. But these guys aren't doing anything wrong. They're just fucking stupid hillbillies. And these kids are like wind up like killing themselves the whole time.
Yeah,
so there
like,
is
so
that like like the hillbillies in the wood, the scary hillbillies or whatever, but like they're not really doing anything wrong, which is I think is it's more satire than it is spoof.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's probably what it is. But my God, is it funny? Like it's just
and what's great is that like Tucker and Dale's reaction to what's happening around them is just so funny. Like how they react to it. Was the kid who's running through the woods and just gets like impaled?
Oh yeah.
They're just standing there.
The deaths are absolutely insane.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah. The chat mentions Katrina Bowden is in this.
Sure,
you see her from 30 Rock. She was in Piranha 3 Double D as well.
Sure.
She's in Scary Movie 5. So tie that back together.
So now we're getting into the good stuff here.
All right, go ahead.
I think so. Number 4, Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
at number 4. I mean, this is a no-brainer.
This
might be.
Yeah,
you could say this is. I would say the 4 on here. You could all say that they were the best. So we're getting into that territory, and this is again for everything that Edgar Wright has done. This might be my favorite of his movies. This just so clever and so like another movie we're going to talk about here. You don't necessarily know that this is kind of funny at times. Like the jokes are so well done that you have to like kind of rewind it and be like, wait, what?
Yeah, huh?
You know, and there's like these subtle jokes and everything, but just how like these fucking kind of like Tucker and Dale too, how these two main characters are just so oblivious and so fucking dumb that they wouldn't know that there's a zombie apocalypse is happening in London.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I mean, it's so well done. It's like the classic cliche start, but then it's like, all right, what would these characters do in it? And the characters are very likable, right? Like Simon Pegg's character is like, okay, what the fuck is this guy? And then
He's dying, he's farting. I'm sorry,
like,
Sean. He's like, for what?
So I mean, it's just so much of the George Romero stuff just done like this way, which in England and the whole thing. So I'm in there. All right, it's coming in at number 3 is the oldest movie on our list, 1981's An American Werewolf in London, and maybe the best werewolf movie ever made.
Maybe. And again, so when I first saw this movie, I think my dad told me that it was supposed to be funny, but I didn't fucking get it. I'll tell you that. I didn't think it was I didn't think it was funny.
Well, and it's like later on when you see it when you're a little bit older and you're, movie experts like we are, and you realize that you're like, oh, this is a John Landis movie. You're like,
Right.
yeah, it's John Landis. And so it's funnier upon review. And like people definitely look at it as like it's a horror comedy. But I'm with you. I thought it was more horror when I first saw it as well.
Especially the transformation of I forget the main character's name, but like into the werewolf. You actually see
David,
it happen. And David, right? And there's like these practical effects. And it's
crazy.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And that, so I guess that was the impetus or like the inspiration for Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah.
Music
Oh yeah.
And so that shit was crazy when I first saw it. And again, I had to watch it later on in like my teens to like, this is funny. I get it. Like as a little kid, I had no clue that this was it. My dad's like, no, it's funny. I'm like, no, what the fuck it is.
For me.
Yeah.
Well, because Landis directed Thriller too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's really good. All right, I'll do number 2 because I know you love number 1 so much. So coming in at number 2, The Cabin in the Woods, which came out in 2012. This did make our top 50 horror list. I think it made it pretty high, but it's just such an over-the-top cliche beginning. And even like the title just suggests like Cabin in the Woods. We've all seen this movie a million times. You take all the characters that each fill a certain trope and you kind of throw them in, or stereotype, and you throw them into the thing. But then like where it goes from there is just so bananas, and like to see that like all of this is being orchestrated. But then even from there, there's like another big bad. So like it is scary enough. Like there's enough scary parts, but it's obviously kind of sort of what Shaun of the Dead does to like Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead and all those movies. Like Cabin in the Woods is like taking Evil Dead and then just like taking it up like another level and adding that bit of comedy to it.
And it's so, and I hate to say this, but like it's Drew Goddard. So Drew Goddard wrote and directed this. He of Buffy and Daredevil, and cast is amazing. But like it falls into the rare category of movie that when the fades to black and the credits roll, I say out loud, that was fucking awesome.
yeah.
Like, and I remember saying that clearly about this movie. Like the movie credits rolling, I look over, I'm like, that movie was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, I love the betting. I thought was that, having like the control room and like people betting on what was going to happen
was nuts. And like
was such a weird.
Like, I want mermaids, mer
people,
mermans, or whatever it was. Yeah, it was great. All the different things, and you're like, and you get a young Chris Hemsworth in there too.
Yeah. Yep. Should we do honorable mentions now?
Yeah. Do you want to do them now?
You want to? We can recap and then do honorable mentions.
All right. Do you want to do?
Okay. So here we go.
Do you want to do yours before we get to number 1? Right. So go ahead. Other ones that you voted for or whatever.
The couple that I voted for, I mentioned The Burbs. And the other one I as an honorable mention, I believe I had Jennifer's Body with
Yes,
Megan Fox.
I like Jennifer's Body too. Yep.
And I didn't put it on my list, but I'm gonna put it as an honorable mention. Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I was torn on Ghostbusters.
Me too.
I was like, is it too much comedy to be considered horror comedy? I don't think there's enough horror, but at the same time, like, fuck, maybe there is.
There's like a couple scenes of like horror, but to me, when they talk about which Beetlejuice is like fantasy, like this is more sci-fi than it is horror to me.
Yeah.
There's too much science for it to be horror. And I know that sounds stupid. But like I know Ghostbusters should be mentioned, but it might not fall into the horror comedy genre.
You know what part of it too is like maybe like the cast, which this is maybe not be fair to the movie, like, but like the cast are like automatic comedy. You're like, oh, Bill Murray, comedy. Like it can't be horror,
And I
but
think
like, maybe it can.
And I think it falls under that. We talked about it earlier. This Ghostbusters might be too funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, that's true.
So do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah. So The Babysitter is pretty good. Samara Weaving is in that. That's on Netflix. And very similar to Happy Death Day is the sequel's trash. Like I didn't like the sequel nearly as much as I liked the first one, but I thought the first one was pretty good. What was the other one? Oh, Bubba Hotep.
Oh, that was on my list.
Bubba Hotep is good.
Yep.
Slither from
Yes, that was also on my
James
list.
Gunn.
Yep.
James Gunn Slither's good. One that I wasn't sure, but you actually did have on your list. I'm looking at it here. Is This Is the End?
Yes.
I guess that is horror. I guess it is enough.
End of the world, demons. Because it gets horror, and again, you think it's just kind of like an end of the world thing. It becomes very horror-y in the last like 20 minutes.
Right. I was gonna say, and that's also another one where the cast, you're like, oh, this is a comedy. This is like whatever. Right. You had Young Frankenstein,
which again, I think it was the first movie I recognized as like a horror comedy.
Yeah.
This and my dad was like, no, it's funny, and I'm like, okay, so it's like Young Frankenstein. He's like, kinda, because like I'd seen Young Frankenstein before.
Yeah.
So, which is available on Netflix. If you haven't seen Young Frankenstein, please watch it.
Oh, and you know
what?
Some streaming service. You know what one wasn't terrible? It didn't make my list, but Vince Vaughn's Freaky, which was the Freaky Friday meets Friday the 13th kind of switch.
He's like a serial killer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that one wasn't too bad, but yeah. Why don't you get to number one?
Number one. Again, one of the DVDs I still own because I was scared to death that I was never going to be able to see this movie again. That is 1992's Army of Darkness. Technically, Evil Dead 3.
Yep.
Because it is the same character. It is this continuation of Evil Dead 2. I remember I hadn't seen, I think I was like 12, and I hadn't seen this movie yet. I haven't seen any of the Evil Deads, but I picked up this movie at like a random. My mom worked at Suncoast Videos or West Coast Videos or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Which was the knockoff Blockbuster. And I just picked this movie. I'm like, I'm just taking this home. She's like, okay. And I laughed my ass off the entire time. And again, it has the horror element, it has the army of the undead, there's witches, there's
some of the witches,
scary shit.
Some of the characters to me are scary enough. So yeah, I'm with you.
And Sam Raimi, when they do like that witch thing where they kind of like they kind of go like that shit's kind of scary.
It is.
But fuck me, is Bruce Campbell is full on Bruce Campbell in this movie. Like he so funny. Oh, every one-liner after. I mean, I used to quote this movie all the time. I still do, but I not as nearly as much as I used to. But definitely my favorite horror comedy of all time, like hands down.
Yeah, I love it. And it's funny. I was tweeting about the other day, like the best horror franchises, and Goo mentioned like, well, if you actually did a score for each movie in the franchise, so some obviously have like 13, some only have 3 or 4. Like, what would be weighted the highest? Because like to me, I'm like, oh, Scream's the best, but in reality, the Evil Deads are probably the strongest. Like, there's no shitty Evil Dead, because even like the remake and then the Evil Dead Rise are pretty good. 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness are all classics. So it's like, shit, they might have the best franchise.
And Ash versus Evil Dead is a fucking unbelievable show.
I watched all of that too. Yeah, that was good.
It was
really
so good. And again, I just love that character of Ash. I think
Nice.
it's the
best.
again, just like a heroic doofus who just doesn't really get it. I think
Well,
it's hilarious to me.
There was a great on one of those like countdown shows of horror movies. Eli Roth was on it, and he was talking about Bruce Campbell, and it was either Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness that he was talking about. And he was just like, as horror fans, he's like, we keep waiting for like Bruce Campbell to be like the most famous person in the world. We're like,
Oh, absolutely.
he's so incredible at what he does. You're like, how come everybody else doesn't like Bruce Campbell the way we like Bruce Campbell? And I'm like, yeah.
So I went to he gave a talk my freshman year in college that Fridge and I, again, another Fridge man, we drove to Mount Holyoke College to listen to Bruce Campbell talk. And the place was wall to wall.
Oh, I bet.
And I'll never forget, I walked up to Bruce Campbell to get my picture taken with him on a disposable camera, which overexposed the picture and it didn't come out. I was so fucking mad. And he referred to me to my face as I said something stupid. And like I said to like, oh, and he looks at me, rolls his eyes and goes, all right, professor, let's get this photo done. He referred to me as professor.
All right, professor. What did you,
Like, said something stupid.
The mise en scène?
No, it was like something that I said about like, so I made a joke about some joke he made, and he was like, you know, I like some people just like making a joke about the joke like fucking ruins it.
Yeah, he's like, all
so
right,
I did that, and I immediately regretted it. And he was like, all right, professor, let's go, let's get this picture done.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah.
All right, we got a request in the chat, Davey, at some point for a horror video games.
Oh man,
those bad boys.
Yeah, we'll do that this month.
All right, very good.
So, do you want like scariest? Or do you want best?
Sounds like two different lists right there.
That's two different lists. Yeah,
either one, whatever one you want, or both. All right, so our top 13 to sum up our top 13 horror comedies. Number 13, Club Dread. Number 12, Beetlejuice. Number 11, Happy Death Day. Number 10, Ready or Not. Number 9, Totally Killer. 8, Zombieland. 7, Gremlins. 6, What We Do in the Shadows. 5, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. 4, Shaun of the Dead. 3, An American Werewolf in London. 2, The Cabin in the Woods. And number 1, Army of Darkness. Yeah, the only one I guess I'm kind of hung up on now is Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But I really don't think it's horror enough.
It's too much science. There's too much. They're scientists, so that kind of immediately dispels any like supernatural stuff. And they're too funny.
It's too much just a straight comedy, probably.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Eddie Murphy was actually in this movie?
Yeah, I have thought about that quite a bit actually. And no joke, I'm being sarcastic. I do think about that often.
Yeah, and like
I do. I'm like,
no, I know he did because he wanted to do Beverly Hills Cop instead, or was it 48 Hours? It was one of the two that it made him like a star.
Yeah,
like he starred in the movie.
Did they also write Belushi into it too?
That was the original script. Yes.
Yeah, crazy.
But that's Aykroyd writing it. Him and
right.
Harold Ramis, right? So yeah,
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking nuts. And then I think we're supposed to get the Ghostbusters Afterlife 2 it was supposed to be this year, but I think we're getting it next year.
Yeah,
that was one of the ones that got bumped, I believe. All right, let's get to oh, you know what I never played today, which makes sense. I should have played it.
Last week, I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film.
Pick of the pod.
Pick of the pod. Pick of the pod.
Pick of the pod.
All right, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may choose it this time to defend a goal?
I will take the ball because, again, I kind of alluded to it already, and this is kind of my wife's pick of the pod, is the Fall of the House of Usher. So I will be definitely checking that out as soon as we hang up the phone here.
Dive in. Yeah. Next week, I don't know what we're doing next week. So we could, if you rip through it, we can do that next week. But I would tell the people to give that a go, see if you like it. And that's probably what we'll talk about on Netflix right now, 8 episodes. Mike Flanagan. I think we did Bly Manor and, that wasn't very good, and Hill House.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely done that before. So check both of those bad boys out. What was I going to say? Oh, so you know what I finally watched was The Train to Busan. I think that's how you say it. Buscan.
Yeah.
You watched that?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking great. Yeah. For some reason, and like, every year you see all these different lists come out of like best horror movies ever. And this is like on there. And this came out in 2016. It is a Korean zombie movie. So there's subtitles, obviously. And it's funny. One of the guys from Squid Game, the guy at the beginning of Squid Game that's like let me slap you in the face for $100. Like that
Mhm.
guy is the lead in this, and it's great. So basically, think of Bullet Train, but with zombies, or think of a zombie movie, but on a train. So that's what you're dealing
It's
with.
really good.
Good
And so,
characters. Yeah.
as far as the other one I would mention too, in that, have you seen The Host?
That sounds familiar, but I don't
It's
think
another
so.
Korean horror movie. It's a great monster movie. It's called The
Okay.
Host. Check
All
that
right.
out if you're
All
not yet.
right. All right. Yeah, but anyway, that's currently streaming on Prime. So if you guys want to watch that, you can check that one out. What else? Oh, you know what else? I was gonna say this is also a Korean horror movie. A Tale of Two Sisters. Have you ever seen that?
On a very specific site, but yes, that
That's
sounds very porny to me.
It is. It's a point. It's a tough name. It's admittedly a tough name, but that is an insane movie. There was also an American remake of it, which I also thought was very good, called The Uninvited.
Okay,
So,
I know that movie. Okay, yeah.
The Uninvited has Emily Browning in it.
Mhm.
You could watch that one too, but I mean, obviously the original's better. All right, so we'll figure out what we're gonna do, and it'll probably be next Monday. We will let you guys know about that. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Dork Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, where we stream these bad boys live, but you can always go back and watch them at your leisure. And what else? Oh yeah, should I have bought this? Send those in to dorkpodcast@gmail.com. All right, Rye, that'll do it for us. Promise me 1,000,000 times over, you'll never do another rule.
Yeah, man, I can't promise you that.